What I want to get to, especially with my friend Joan and you, a more recent friend, Joy, is I think a lot of that sensitivity among African Americans, the way Bill's words were taken, this is just what is it? This is a fantasy, that kind of thing, which became taken as a general assault and dismissal of Barack Obama. What is this guy? He's just another Jesse Jackson. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be way back in the pack. That was taken as a general attack on African Americans' aspirations in this country. And I learned in that whole campaign the hard way that every time I took a shot at Hillary Clinton, every single time, it was taken as a general assault on the aspirations of women. And you learn these lessons the hard way, I can tell you. Anyway, and Bill Clinton learned them, I learned them. I'm not in the same league. Well, mentally, maybe sometimes. Anyway, Diane Sawyer in last night's ABC interview asked Hillary Clinton about Benghazi. Let's watch this exchange.
You famously said whether it was a protest or a group of guys walking out and deciding to kill some Americans.
What difference at this point does it make?
That's right. Does it make a difference?
In the moment, it did not. In the moment, what we had to be focused on was saving American lives.
Does it make a difference now? Do you want to change that? Do you want to?
No, I don't. Because the point of what I said at the time was, you know, if you're going to stay fixated on things like talking points or fixated on whether or not everybody was affected or not by the video, you're missing the larger picture.
Diane Sawyer then brought up that House Republicans have announced yet another investigation into Benghazi and asked Secretary Clinton if all this was another reason not to run herself for president. Mrs. Clinton leaned in and said, actually, it's more of a reason to run because I do not believe our great country should be playing minor league ball. We ought to be in the majors. And I view this as really apart from, even a diversion from, the hard work that the Congress should be doing about the problems facing our country and the world. But a new Washington Post poll shows that among independent voters today, there are still unanswered questions about Benghazi. 52% of independent voters support a new Benghazi investigation. Joy, here's I want to start with Joan on this and then Joy, the same question. Hillary Clinton has to face reality today, even though it's been confected and built up by the right, even though weeks and months, actually months, almost a year now, of pushing this Benghazi button has succeeded to the point where 52% of independent voters now think they have questions about it. Does she have to deal with that new reality even though she knows it was confected or not? Or can she do what she's been doing in these interviews, saying, play serious baseball here and stop wasting time with minor leagues?
Well, let me take that in two parts. I loved her answer to that question. I loved her answer on, I'm not going to take back what I said to Ron Johnson when he was being an idiot to me. And I think that's great. What did he say? What was that context? What did the context was basically, you know, chasing down the talking points and the issues of what Susan Rice had said on the Sunday shows. But here's the danger. You know, she's gotten very good at deflecting those kinds of questions and calling them the political circus that they are. Where she, I think, fell down a little bit in that interview is answering the real policy and practice implications of the Pickering-Mullen report. You know, when I read that report, it did exonerate her. There was the things that she was accused of were awful and ridiculous and scurrilous, but there were some management flaws. And, you know, beyond saying the buck stops here, I think that she probably has to get a little bit more in the weeds in terms of what the security situation was and what might have been done differently, because if she doesn't, those questions will dog her.
Joy, this is the question, this Benghazi thing. I don't know whether she can dismiss it or belittle the people asking the question now. And by the way, when she admitted in that interview, the last 24 hours, I think it was with Diane Sawyer, that it was a systemic problem out there in the State Department. My God, a systemic problem is what cost Shinseki his job. I think she went too far in the confessional booth there. My view is, get with it, guys. We live in the third world. We've got a country like Libya that doesn't really have a government. We're relying on the local militia to protect us. It's a late night over a weekend. The ambassador there, who she really liked personally as a friend, took a risk and went out there, and it was the bad move. You can't control the universe. The idea that you somehow have to blame it on some system's fault always seems to me like an overreach of confession. I wish somebody out there could just say, on Hillary's behalf, damn it, it's the real dangerous world out there. And if we're all going to retreat from there and pretend and hide, and don't do what Chris Stevens did, the ambassador, retreat back and hide in the bunker of the embassy, in Tripoli or wherever, Of course we're never going to have relations with the third world, but you got to get out there and take risks. And sometimes you get killed. And that's part of the business. And just be tough and talking to people about the real world. And stop playing playing games with little people like, oh, we have to protect everybody out there. We have soldiers killed every hour. Go ahead, your thoughts.
No, absolutely. Listen.